"Your wife is still alive," whispered the homeless girl. Those words changed his life. Before we begin the story, tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We love seeing our family from all around the world come together here. Alexander Grant was a living legend in Seattle, a millionaire media mogul, and the kind of man whose name carried weight in every boardroom. To the world, he was untouchable, powerful, respected, admired. But behind the walls of his glass tower, Alexander was nothing more than a broken soul. 3 years earlier, he had buried the love of his life, or at least he believed he had. His wife, Clara, had allegedly died in a tragic car crash. Newspapers mourned her. Television channels replayed her smiling interviews. The city draped itself in sorrow. Yet Alexander never truly grieved. He withdrew from the spotlight, avoided cameras, refused social gatherings. His office became a tomb. His only comfort, a portrait of Clara in a field of sunflowers. Every day, he stared at her painted smile. Every night, he whispered to the lifeless frame, as though she might somehow answer. It wasn't healing. It was survival. One evening, after enduring another suffocating charity gala, Alexander felt an unfamiliar urge. As his car rolled through the streets, he asked his driver to stop by a small cafe. "I'll walk for a bit," he muttered. The air felt different that night, sharp, almost cleansing. As he approached the cafe, he noticed a figure crouched near a garbage container. A girl, barefoot and ragged, her jacket torn at the sleeves. Her hair was tangled, her cheeks hollow, but her eyes glimmered with an unsettling sharpness. Most passers-by ignored her. Alexander nearly did the same. But as he walked past, the girl lifted her head and whispered, "Your wife is alive." The word struck like lightning. He froze, staring down at her. "What did you say?" His voice cracked with disbelief. The girl's lips trembled, but her voice carried certainty. "Clara is alive." He wanted to dismiss her as delusional. Yet before he could, she hummed a lullaby, a tune soft, haunting, and unmistakably familiar. Clara's lullaby, the one she made up on restless nights, never sung for anyone but him. Then came the phrase, "The stars don't move, Alexander, we do." It was something Clara always said when they lay on the balcony. Stargazing. Something no stranger could possibly know. His chest tightened, knees nearly buckling. "How do you know that?" he demanded. The girl, who later gave her name as Lila, handed him an address. "Go to the shelter in Idaho," she whispered. "Ask the children. They'll tell you about the woman who comes to teach them. She hides her face, uses another name, but she's Clara, I swear." And just like that, she turned away, curling back into the shadows of night. The next morning, Alexander followed the lead. The shelter was small, weathered by time, but filled with warmth. Children's drawings covered the walls, and the laughter of little ones echoed through the halls. When Alexander asked about a woman who taught sewing and told stories, the children's faces lit up. "Yes, Miss Grace," they chorused. But Miss Grace wasn't her real name. "She comes and goes," one boy confided. "She doesn't like people taking pictures. She said bad men are looking for her." She wasn't there that day, but their descriptions matched Clara perfectly. Her soft voice, her smile, the way she tucked hair behind her ear when nervous. Alexander's heart knew. His wife had been here. Back in Seattle, Alexander launched his own investigation. The medical report from Clara's death unraveled first. The examiner listed in the documents hadn't worked at the hospital in years. The autopsy was fabricated. The detective he hired confirmed the body pulled from the wreckage was not Clara's. She had faked her own death. The reasons surfaced soon after. Clara had uncovered corruption buried within one of Alexander's subsidiaries. Shady financial schemes, dangerous enough to threaten her life. Realizing the danger, she vanished to protect her husband from being dragged into the mess. She didn't do it alone. Records pointed to two allies, Margaret Hale, a trusted nurse friend, and Ethan Cole, a former member of Alexander's own security detail. Clara had sacrificed everything, even her marriage, to shield the man she loved. But whispers of her survival had begun to spread. Surveillance cameras near the Idaho shelter showed men watching from the shadows. Days later, Clara vanished once more. Weeks passed with no sign of her. Then came a clue. Footage of Clara entering an abandoned chapel near the border. Inside, Alexander's men found a letter. The handwriting was unmistakable. Alexander, don't look for me. It's safer this way. I love you, but if you find me, you'll be in danger too. He collapsed on the dusty chapel floor, clutching the note. But he couldn't obey. His love was stronger than his fear. The call in the night. Then one night, the phone rang. A child's trembling voice spoke through the static. She's in the forest. She's hurt. Please, help her. Without hesitation, Alexander drove out alone. And there, beneath the silver light of the moon, he found her. Clara, exhausted, pale, her shoulder bleeding from a gunshot wound. But alive, her lips quivered as her eyes met his. Alexander, he dropped to his knees, gathering her into his arms. I've got you, he whispered. I'll never let you go again. At the hospital, Alexander refused to leave Clara's side. Through surgery, through sleepless nights, he clung to her hand as though it anchored his soul. Meanwhile, his team unraveled the last threads of the conspiracy. The villain behind it all was revealed. Damien Cross, Alexander's former business partner. Damien had used Clara's name to conceal illegal operations. When she discovered the truth, he orchestrated the crash and the cover-up, determined to silence her forever. But the plan failed. With Clara alive, evidence mounted. Damien and his accomplices were arrested, their empire of deceit collapsing overnight. The world finally knew the truth. Clara wasn't just a survivor. She was a symbol of courage and resilience. The media stormed to capture the story, but Alexander didn't care. The only thing that mattered was Clara. When she was discharged, he whisked her away to a cabin hidden among pine trees, far from reporters and danger. There, by the fireplace, they learned to live together again. Do you hate me for leaving? Clara whispered one night, tears shining in her eyes. Alexander drew her into his embrace. I could never hate you. You saved my life, even if it broke me first. Now let me save yours. Months later, they remarried. No grandeur, no cameras, just them close friends and vows whispered softly, meant only for each other. Eventually, the couple returned to the Idaho shelter. Children ran to greet Clara, no longer Miss Grace, but finally herself again. Among them stood Lila, the homeless girl whose whisper had started it all. She smiled, her eyes filled with quiet triumph, as though saying, "See? I told you." Alexander took her hand gently. "Thank you," he said, voice thick with emotion. "You gave me back my life." When Alexander looked at Clara now, he didn't see the years lost. He saw the miracle of the love that had survived death, betrayal, and lies. Because true love doesn't die. It waits. It endures. It returns stronger. And all it takes to awaken it is a whisper, "Your wife is still alive." Those words didn't just change Alexander's life. They gave it back to him.